it's gonna be worth it, right? Because if a conference is bold enough to charge that much, I better leave with something, right? Hi, I'm Sable, founder and digital event marketing specialist at Sequin Soirée, and welcome back to Style Chats, my weekly conversation series where I share my experiences and insights regarding all things fashion events. Today I want to talk about my experiences with conferences and why I feel like they rarely result in any kind of meaningful engagement outside of the conference atmosphere. And I also want to talk about what smaller event experiences get right that conferences just can't because of their large scale. So if you're watching the live premiere, make sure to chat with me live. Or if you're watching this later, feel free to share your experiences or insights in the comments below. Let's get started. So I feel like post-COVID, there's been like a rush of conferences just in general. Like people are just ready to be outside. They're ready to connect with people. They're ready to network and build things. But I feel like regarding the marketing of these conferences, a lot of what we see is just for the optics. It's to get people to want to purchase tickets for these large scale events. But I feel like sometimes the optics don't necessarily match the experience. And I'll admit that I used to get influenced by these optics myself when I would scroll on social media and see the recaps of these events where there are all these glossy photos, group shots, people connecting with each other, the food and the drinks, the panel discussions, and rooms packed with people. I'd feel like a sense of FOMO because I'd be like, man, I missed out on this really great event. A few conferences that come to mind are Create and Cultivate, CultureCon, Afrotech. Those are the types of events that I would be interested in attending, but based on my recent experience with a large conference, I'm not exactly sure if that's the route I want to take regarding attending events in the future. So here comes the story time. Earlier this year, I planned a networking trip to New York City. The goal for this trip was to attend different types of events and just meet as many people as possible because at the time I was really gearing up to uproot my entire life to move to New York because I've always wanted to live in New York and I was tired of Seattle. I've been here now going on 13 years and I feel like it's just not the city that I feel like I can thrive in. I feel like the city isn't really setting me up for success. So I organized this trip where I would attend different types of events, and the majority of them were smaller networking events, but I wanted to have an anchor event, meaning if I had a lull in my schedule, I can just pop by this anchor event and like catch a panel discussion or a keynote speaker or something. So I kind of based the trip around social media week. So I had that event as my anchor event, and then I found other events, other smaller events during that week to attend. So in deciding to attend social media week, I purchased a $1,300 ticket. And I didn't realize that the event would cost that much. I mean, it was a 3-day event, yes, but $1,300? It gave me sticker shock, and I honestly gaslit myself into purchasing that ticket because I was like, it's a 3-day event, it's in New York, I'm gonna meet a lot of different people, which we'll talk about, and it's gonna be worth it, right? Because if a conference is bold enough to charge that much, I better leave with something, right? I better get something out of it. Hey there, editing Sable popping in here. Yes, that ticket was $1,300, but mind you, I bought the ticket 3 weeks before the event actually happened. I would assume that the ticket prices were a little more affordable earlier, but I was still unsure if I wanted to attend, so that's why I waited so long to buy my ticket, and that's my fault. But it was still hard to let go of that money. Okay, back to the video. So I get to New York. It's day one of the conference. I believe it was a Monday. So I maybe get there like 15 minutes after the check-in starts, and the line is literally wrapped around the block. This is the block. Here's the entrance. There's a line here, It wraps around the corner and then it continues to wrap around the other corner. Come to find out, there was a technical problem with their check-in system. So we were waiting for maybe like an hour and a half trying to get in. Thankfully, they had people come out and like offer us water and snacks and stuff. Eventually we get in, and just my overall feeling of, I don't know if this is going to be worth my time, just kind of set in. Because if you've ever been to any conference, sometimes the actual venue is bigger than the number of people in attendance, so it feels empty, if you've ever felt that feeling. So I went to the main area where they were doing all of the talks, and that was full. That was where all the people were. So I sit down and I'm listening, and immediately I'm hearing the same rhetoric about social media that I've been hearing for years. So it was really nothing new. So I stayed for about 40 minutes. I listened, and then I decided this might not be worth my time. So I ended up leaving, and I was like, well, maybe I'll catch tomorrow. There might be some talks that I want to listen to. But then the next day I decided not to go. And then even the third day I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not really excited about going. So I spent $1,300 to attend an event for 40 minutes out of a total of 3 days. And that's not to say that the event itself was not good. I'm sure some people enjoyed it. My next conference experience, half experience, is from CultureCon. I purchased a ticket for CultureCon. Thankfully, this one was like $150 for 2 days. I purchased that ticket maybe July this year, but the event didn't happen until October, because I was under the impression that since I was leaving Seattle in July and moving to New York, it might be an interesting event to go to because it's more geared towards people of color in creative industries. But since I still live in Seattle, I ended up not going. But I was still kind of motivated to possibly fly back to New York to attend this event until I saw the agenda, because once you purchase a ticket and they kind of start getting the agenda together, they give you access to their conference app so you can see who's speaking, what the topics are. And I just happened to look or scroll through the agenda, and it was kind of the same as Social Media Week. Like, the topics were quite generic, and it kind of has to be generic because of the range of people in attendance. It can't necessarily be highly specific, which is another issue regarding large conferences. You can't cater to a small group. You have to cater to everybody. Everybody that shows up, you have to have something for everybody. So the topics can't be too specific. So as I'm scrolling through the agenda, it just hit me like I would rather not spend any more money traveling back to New York for these seemingly generic conversations. Like, I'll take the $150 loss and just call it a day. But again, I'm sure a lot of people got a lot from that event. So I can't say it was like a negative experience or you shouldn't go. Like, if you think this event will allow you to connect with new people, gain more insight into specific topics, go. So circling back to Social Media Week, another issue I have with large conferences is the networking disconnect. Meaning, if I'm paying a significant amount of money to attend an event, a 3-day event, I want to know who else is showing up, right? I want to know what type of environment I'm walking into. I want to have a better idea of who I can connect with. I don't want to have to take the initiative outside of paying this much money to search for people who might also be attending the same event, because it affects my goals for networking, like who I want to meet with, who I want to connect and potentially partner with for upcoming projects. And there are ways for conferences to manage that aspect. For example, I attended Fashion Futures in New York last year. It's a 1-day conference and it's mainly about like fashion tech. But before I attended, they gave us access to an app that had the agenda for the conference, but it also allowed us access to the profiles of the other attendees. So it was easier to connect with people and say, hey, I'm interested in meeting you at the event, connecting with you. Let's set up a time to meet or grab coffee or something. It was just easier for me to see who else was showing up. That way I got more excited about attending. I think adding that aspect of the guest experience where people know who they're meeting, especially for people who go to events alone. I go by myself. It's anxiety inducing to show up to these large scale events by yourself and then just kind of insert yourself into other people's conversations. I can do it. I do it when I attend these events, but it would be easier for me to know who I'm meeting beforehand. That's all I'm saying. So in the comments or in the chat, let me know, like, when you go to conferences, do you go by yourself or do you go with like a friend or a group of people? Do you set goals for yourself when attending these events? Like, do you have an idea of who you plan to say hello to, meet, pitch to even? Do you even like attending large conferences, or is it anxiety inducing for you as well? Because for me, it's just, it's a lot. Like, so outside of social media week, during that time when I was networking in New York City, I also attended a few other smaller networking events, and I'm checking my calendar to remind myself which events I attended. So my trip was May 11th to the 15th. So outside of social media week, I went to the Met to view the Superfine Tailoring Black Style exhibit. It was really good. I did not vlog this trip, and I really wish I did. I think I still have some footage. I'll add it into this video if I can find it. But I attended that exhibit, and then I went to a book launch for this book called The Ambition Trap. It was really nice. I enjoyed it. Then there was an event by The Beauty Social. It was like a cute little happy hour. That was on the Upper East Side on Madison. And then that same night, there was also a Monday Girl event for women in creative industries. That one was in Flatiron. And there was also an apparel and beauty industry networking event that I actually got invited to by a recruiter because she saw my post about attending other events during that week. And she's like, well, I think this might be a good event for you to attend, you know, just to network and like meet other recruiters. So I went to that one as well. And to be quite honest, I made more connections at those smaller events than I did at Social Media Week. Granted, I was only there for 40 minutes, but like I felt like the smaller events were more effective because they were more specific. I made 0 connections at Social Media Week. But the people that I met at these smaller events, I'm still connected with on LinkedIn. We message each other every now and then. Like, I feel like it's just easier for me to connect with people at smaller events. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And just from like an event marketing perspective, I feel like smaller events, they're more manageable. You can curate them more, and it's easier to follow up with people, easier to gather feedback, easier to understand what your guests need regarding networking, connecting with people to further their community and build on the projects that they want to build. Basically, I'm just more interested in the intention of events as opposed to showing off how big an event can be, like how many people you can gather in one space. I think it's more important to set an intention up front. This is what we're talking about. These are the people that I want to gather together, and then move forward that way as opposed to large conferences, just so more people can take more photos and post them on social media. That's just my opinion about it. So I'm not totally anti-conference. I'm pro-intentional when it comes to events as a whole. But with that said, there is one conference that it's been on my radar for a while, and it kind of contradicts everything I just said about conferences, but I feel like I at least want to attend this one once. And if you've attended this conference, let me know what it's like. I would love to attend the Cannes Lions conference in the south of France. I would love to get invited by a brand to attend this event, so I'm manifesting it right now. But if you attended Cannes Lions, let me know what your experience was. Did you meet people? Have you stayed connected with them? Like, what was your goal for attending? Did you meet that goal? Let me know in the comments, because that's the only large conference that I would consider attending at this point. But if you attended any other conferences and you got something from it or expected to get something from it but didn't, let me know in the chat or in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences and your insight, and we can continue the conversation. So that's all for this week's Style Chat. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you like and subscribe for new episodes. Feel free to join me for the premiere and we can chat live. Or if you're watching later, add your insights to the comments. I'd love to hear them. And I will see you next week. Bye. Off to New York. Join me in NYC for a week of fashion industry networking. After planning my cross-country move for about 2 years, I set out to connect with industry professionals in person because LinkedIn is great, but I believe real connections are built face-to-face. I flew in on Sunday and prepped to hit the ground running. Monday kicked off with social media week, but after a long line and some tech issues at check-in, I caught a few sessions and realized these large conferences just aren't my vibe. My highlight of the day was market research. I explored a vintage pop-up shop, visited the Superfine Tailoring Black Style exhibit at the Met, and scoped out some 260 sample sale events I could study for activation ideas. The creative inspiration alone was worth the 5K walk. Tuesday started with an apparel and beauty industry networking event. I connected with recruiters and graduating FIT students. I even got a cute little fashion illustration done. Later, I hit the Ambition Trap book launch, where I met authors, podcasters, and coaches who are all reshaping how we talk about ambition. I'm about a quarter of my way through the book myself, and the lessons are affirming my relearned ideas about my version of success. Wednesday was rainy but full of insight. After resting up, I attended 2 evening networking events. First, I stopped by the Beauty Social Networking event on the Upper East Side, where I met some amazing fashion industry professionals in digital, PR, influencer marketing, lifestyle products, and fashion design. I loved how curated this event was. It made me feel like I was finally in a room with like-minded people after my long hiatus from the fashion industry during COVID. The second event was hosted by Monday Girl and Flatiron. There, I met even more fashion event planners. I also had the opportunity to sit with some incredible Black women navigating workspace challenges. Those honest conversations remind me why I'm making this move. On Thursday, I wrapped up the trip with an apartment tour in Jersey City so I can get a better mental picture of what my work from home setup would look and feel like. More square footage, an abundance of natural light, more counter space. Yeah, now I can fully visualize my next chapter. And after a 4-hour delay at Newark Airport, I was on my way back home to Seattle with a renewed sense of excitement. Here are my top 3 takeaways from the trip. Big name conferences are not for me. They're too pricey and too impersonal. Smaller, curated events made it easier to connect and share what I do. And people were genuinely excited when I talked about my event marketing business. That's the energy I want to follow. This trip confirmed it. New York City is ready for me and my business, Sequin Soirée. If you're planning your next fashion or beauty event and want to get the right people to show up, let's connect. In the meantime, I'll be tying up some loose ends here in Seattle while I count down to my East Coast move.